Hey everybody, Vilisink back again with Raid Shadow Legends, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the new login champion. I think it's in the news. We have the new login reward. Now, she's called Arix. She is legendary HP magic Knights Rev. Okay, Arix can only be obtained by collecting her fragments, which you get at the end of each month and so forth. Can we go to the index and see, because as good as this champion potentially is, I've heard a few people saying like, will you need her, because at 271 plus days, if you include Scion and or Exion or something and all the other login champions, you're looking at a shitload of time. Don't get me wrong, the look cover is quite cool. I think it's they always do a really cool job. I'm trying to think if she's even in the right faction. She looks more like an undead. But yeah, it is very cool. Got Remnant. It's kind of got like an executioner, cardinal. A few champions kind of collaborated together there to get that skin. So if we're looking at the base HP is almost 23,000, which is very nice. Attack, not important, 881. Defense, 1161. Could be a bit higher, but it's still quite nice. Speed, 99, which is also very nice. It's glad to see a lot of these champions are getting closer to 100, rather than, they're still like, I think Robar used to be like 88 speed, which was just stupid. Crit rate, crit damage, I'm not sure if that's going to be relevant, but it's 1563. She has 30 base resist and 15 base accuracy. So let's take a look at the passive first. Let's A1 up to the passive, as we normally do. So Deathly Arts, AoE attack, 25% chance of removing one random buff from its target. So the AoE is nice, means a stun set could be good. It is HP, so you can put it in a stun set, you can put it in a provoke taunting type of set. 25% chance books up higher to remove, or for a chance to remove one random buff from its target. Depending on where you use her, it could be good, but if they have no buffs, it's kind of a pointless move. But I like the fact it's an AoE. It also could be quite cool. See how the rest of her kit goes, because she could be probably good for Hydra, I'm not really sure. Thorn Chain Malison, AoE again, so definitely potential for a stun set, provoke set. Obviously being a HP based champion, you're going to have a nice base HP to begin with. So it goes 75%, you can 80 if you add the mastery, placing a stun debuff for one turn, transfers a random debuff from herself to the targets that receive a stun debuff from the skill. Okay, the chance to apply a stun is quite nice. A stun and some type of set like that could also be quite nice, unless you just tank it. You go shield set or you go mortal set, or you just give her like high HP. Transfers a random debuff from this champion, but if you don't have any debuffs on you, then again it's a pointless move. She places ally protection buff on all allies except herself for 2 turns. Also places a counter attack buff on herself for 2 turns. So the ally protection is quite cool. It's HP based, so you're going to have some good base HP. The counter attack on herself is cool if she doesn't heal by counter attack. She can counter attack and remove buff from enemies, which is cool. If she had some part of like heals by X amount of percent, that could have been quite nice, because the counter attack could have given her back HP without the need to put in a mortal regen set, which would still be very good. Follows her turn meter by 5% each time an ally inflicts a critical hit. which is very interesting. I don't think I've seen a passive quite like similar to that. Heals this champion by 5% of their max HP each time an enemy inflicts a critical hit. Okay, so yeah, it makes a little bit of sense now. The passive and the A3 now just work together so well. With that ally protection, and if you can get a provoke stun set and they're critting on you, then you're going to be filling your HP. And if it's your allies doing that, it gives you a turn meter. That's very, very cool. I like the fact they're all AoE moves. If you have random buffs on your targets, that's fine. Otherwise, it's pointless. The A2 is the same. If you're going first and you don't have any debuffs, then it's kind of silly and pointless. Overall, though, a cool looking champion, interesting kit. But I'm just curious whether you will need a champion, an ally protection champion, that late on in the game. Gives yourself counter attack, ally protection. Like Miscreated Monster is ally protection, and he can place a stun as well on an AoE, so other champions can kind of do it better. So you're waiting a lot of days for this champion. You're waiting a shitload of days for this champion. And are you going to use her? Am I going to use her? Because this is my next. After I think it's Lady Erish. After that, I get this champion. So I have to ask myself, am I going to use her? So I'm getting her regardless. I think the base HP is interesting. I like the fact it's AoEs. So a potentially provoke, taunting set, stun set, some type of sets like that. Potentially put her into immortal, so she can kind of heal herself back. She doesn't really need to. The passive is quite good. It's a very interesting passive. Situational on critical hits, which means if you wanted this to work, you would have to make sure your allies had perfect crit rate or a crit lead or anything. But I mean, am I going to use her? I don't think so. I don't need an AoE champion that has a kind of has a situational kit, because if she has no debuffs, we can't apply anything, which kind of makes it just a stun, which other people do better. Ally protection and counter attack, that's quite cool, not gonna lie. I do like the fact that she's got a nice base HP, ally protection, so for me personally, the chance to remove one random buff from the target, that could come in handy if she counter attacks. But yeah, I think champions potentially do it better. Will I build her? Maybe. I think what I'll do is, the more I look at her, the more I'm just thinking like 100k HP and a taunting and a stun set, and potentially giving her a bit of speed also, and just trying to CC people and take her through dungeons, take her through a lot of places, Doom Tower and so forth. I think it could be very, very interesting. I'm just unsure whether people will, when you have Miscreated Monster, you have other champions that stun, you have other champions that have a chance to remove debuffs and get turn meter fills, and it's going to be so far on in the game that you're probably going to have a different champion or a few other champions that cover all the bases. You might not need her, but I think she is definitely quite interesting. One review. How the fuck has she got one review? And she's not even out yet. Was that you, Plarium? Was that you just making sure she had a 5? So campaign, she could be quite nice. I mean, arena, she could be very interesting as a support champion, especially when you've got people that will be critting on you, that will be doing damage. You're going to get that heals. So I'm not sure how much use she's going to be, but I think she's a nice looking champion. The graphics and details are quite nice. The kit is quite interesting, and I'm only really talking about the ally protection and the passive. The other two are just AoE moves, you know. So basically just a HP, a tanky build with some speed. There's potentially accuracy if you need it just for anything else, but I suppose I'll build there. I'm just not sure. I think that, you know, being so late on, the champion could have been so much more. They're releasing this champion, they're putting hype, it's in the news, it pops up when you log in, and then you look at the champion and you're like, oh, okay. But if she has no, if they have no buffs, you can't steal them, and if you have no debuffs, then you can't place any of them. So situational at best, I think. But the graphics quite nice. I like the base HP. I like the eye protection. I think I'm still going to build her, take her to 60, and she could potentially be nice for arena as well. Like a very supportive role. I just question like her utility and her use and so forth. But if you are receiving this in your mailbox because you're at the appropriate amount of days, if you've played that long, then let me know what you think about her. Are you going to use her? Are you going to build her? I like the A3 in the passive. The A1, the A2 is effectively just an AoE attack. I don't see. I think it's just too situational to be kind of reliant on. So I could be wrong. You never know. But let me know in the comments what you think. Stay safe. Keep on reading, and I'll see you soon.